Let's talk Jeremy Swayman because, look, I get it. Some people are saying Ullmark should start Game 3. I'll be honest with you. I don't really have a problem either way. I understand if they want to go Ullmark because you can't really blame him at all for coming in this game last night cold against a team that feels all the momentum on earth. I mean, of course, they're going to break through. By the way, I don't blame Sway either. How, Sway? I mean, this guy has carried you all playoffs long, George.
Yeah.
And then even in that game last night, I saw some tremendous saves from him early on. He's keeping the Bruins in the game. And then, hell, I mean, you're not getting any support from the defense. You're not getting any support offensively. What do you think's going to happen against a great team like the Panthers who has to have it at home? Of course he's going to give some up. In my opinion, they pull him because I believe he's going to start Game 3. Do you?
Yeah.
Again, I don't have a problem if they go Ullmark. I understand it. Maybe you give Sway a little break here, get Ullmark in with a fresh, start in a game, not bringing him in cold. So I do get it. You're back home. But my gut says it's going to be Sway. You agree with that?
I mean, if your guys can respond, then you should go Jeremy Swayman in Game 3. I know not too much earlier in this exact podcast I said it's going to likely be Linus Game 3, but that's me talking without thinking, which is what I do 90% of the time.
But it could be either way, George. It could be either way.
Dude, it could have been Martin Brodeur out there. He wasn't going to stop this Panthers attack because the Bruins did not help their goaltender. People are going to look in the box score and say, 4 goals allowed? All right, Swayman crashed back down to earth.
Right.
But like you said, maybe Monty pulls him to go, Linus, get out there, and he'll figure out and check Sway after this game. But especially with the series now switching back to Boston, all right, maybe Sway back in his home crease, he could pick it back up. He was the reason the Bruins have gotten this far because he is the best player in the playoffs so far, but the goalie needs help eventually. He didn't get it from the guys in front of him at all. Now, if it is Linus Ullmark in Game 3, that will be 18 days since his last start. Now, Jim Montgomery said, I trust our science department, our sports science, what they're doing in practice, how they're mentally challenging him like it's a game day, how they're physically challenging him as if it's a game day. He's staying sharp. But yeah, I'm with you on this one. If you go Swayman Game 3, I wouldn't be surprised by it at all. I mean, he has played phenomenally well. It's the guys in front of him that need to wake up. So that's a concern for me. I know I sound like a broken record at this point, but I've told you, man, I'm not worried about Swayman. You have to start and end every conversation about the Bruins with Jeremy Swayman because he's been that dude for them. He's been their best player.
Yep.
I can't talk goaltending until I have to call out how awful the Bruins were in front of him. So if those guys don't play well, I don't care who's in the crease. Jeremy Swayman, Linus Ullmark, they're going to be left out to dry. The Bruins have to pick it up. This is a good Panthers team, and we expected it, but you still have to bring the fight back to them.
I think that's well said. Here's also how I know you're in Jersey back home right now. You dropped a nice Martin Brodeur reference. I mean, you can't even help yourself, George, right now. Now, of course, I called this game, too, last night. The Royal Rumble, George. Well, Twitter was all over all these damn fights. Let's take a look at some of these tweets. You love this. Look, the show's interactive. We already told you, call us 617-790-0928. Get involved in the hotline. But keep those tweets flowing too, George. You could see people are loving the violence here. Hey, at least the Bruins punched some faces last night.
I like Connor Ryan. I don't think the Bruins and Panthers like each other. Yeah, Connor, saying the obvious thing out on Twitter, and that's, his humor to it. Line brawl to start Game 3. I can feel it. Oh, yeah. Penalski, 1,000%. You send the fourth liners out there. They drop gloves instantly. You wail on each other. You get out of your system. Penalties are assessed. Then the hockey begins. But you know what it is at this point, especially after the Montour goal. Celebrates, looks Marchand down in his face, yells in his face. Marchand wraps his hands around him. I hated that the refs got right into that one because if I'm Brad Marchand, I go, I don't care if I get my ass beat. I don't care if I get down to the ice. I got to lay one into this sucker's jaw because he's yelling in my face. But at that point, the refs are saying we got to protect it. We got to keep everyone in check. We can't let things get more out of hand than they already are, even though they pretty much lost the game. And then right after that, as I mentioned, Kachuk just getting under Pasternak's skin, but he gets two cheap shots in there after Pasta goes down. That, to me, is the biggest worry. David Pastrnak fighting Matt Tkachuk should never happen. David Pastrnak fighting anyone should never happen, let alone Matt Tkachuk. But then your best player gets his ass beat on the ice. Again, the Bruins, the Pat Maroons, this is where they have to step up. Yeah. I don't care if you're on the bench. You get out on the ice and you bring it to Tkachuk. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a glove drop right away, especially back on the Bees' home ice. But, yeah, no love lost between these teams. And this, even after the Panthers got up 4-1, 5-1, 6-1, and put a beat down out on their own, they brought it with the fight, too. They wanted to keep fighting. So it just shows, man, they're just bringing them – I'm holding back the cursing. They're just bringing the mother effer out of them in this game.
I mean, listen, this is why we love playoff hockey. Nuck if you buck. I'm here for it.